Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into something I know a lot of us are feeling right now, this absolute, overwhelming saturation of media in the agent age era. We've officially hit a massive phase state change. I mean, think about it. AI can now generate text, audio, and visuals literally infinitely faster than any human population could ever possibly consume it. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose. So we're going to explore exactly what this all means for you, and honestly, how we can all navigate this incredible shift.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room. This totally understandable anxiety. Are human creators becoming obsolete? It's a feeling you might be having right now as you watch these machines spit out complex code, stunning art, and, fully realized music in literal seconds. It is so easy to see a generative model pump out a masterpiece and feel like human intent is just fading away, or even being replaced by some kind of AI neo-god. But is that actually what's happening?
Well, to understand our new reality, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer volume of what we're dealing with. The Copyright Society put it perfectly. We are currently bombarded by this endless wave of media. We are, quote, drowning in a sea of images. And this surfeit, this massive overflow of content, it fundamentally changes the value of creation. Because when infinite generation is just free and instantaneous, the simple act of bringing something into existence, that's no longer the bottleneck of human expression.
Section 1. The romantic originator myth versus historical reality. To shake off this existential fear of being replaced, we really need to shatter a super stubborn 18th century illusion about where creativity actually comes from. We have to dismantle the myth of the romantic originator. That idea of the solitary, brooding genius pulling wholly original ideas out of thin air, creating something out of absolute nothingness. If you look back through history, authorship has almost always been a collaborative, combinatorial process. Take ancient Iraq, right? Literary production there was a massive collective endeavor managed by scribes. It was essentially collaborative remixing. The whole concept of the isolated genius only really pops up in the 18th century as a cultural construct. Then, jump to Web 2.0, which completely flattened the landscape and turned us all into peer-to-peer creators. And now, here we are in the agentic era, where AI has taken over the mechanical rendering. So the historical norm here is collaboration, not some solitary genesis out of nothing.
Section 2. The mechanical reality of artificial intelligence.
So when we actually look under the hood, we realize AI is definitely not a conscious neo-god. We've got to strip away all the marketing magic and just look at the stark mathematical reality of how these systems function. Drawing on the brilliant cultural theorist Roland Barthes, modern generative AI is really just an incredibly fast digital scripter. Actually, think of it like a von Neumann Babelfish. It blindly translates formats, like turning an English prompt into a Python script or an image based purely on statistical probabilities. It accesses a massive database, hunts for patterns, and recombines them. It executes technically with blazing speed, sure, but it does it without comprehending a single word or pixel. And honestly, that right there is exactly why the machine cannot replace you. Drawing on philosopher Hannah Arendt's concept of praxis, true creation requires active, engaged doing that is directly tied to lived experience. The machine completely lacks the biological friction and inner drive necessary to be a true creator. I mean, it doesn't feel joy, it doesn't experience grief, and it definitely doesn't fight its way through the messy maze of human life. It literally has no inner self to express. Section 3. The phase shift, rise of the orchestrator. Here's the crucial takeaway. Human creators are absolutely not dying out. Instead, we're undergoing a massive evolutionary phase shift. Because the machine handles the raw, tedious generation now, our role is radically transforming to fit this saturated landscape. We're moving from origination to orchestration. Look at the old way. You were responsible for the manual execution of every single pixel or word. You were the originator. The new way? It is entirely about strategic management. We are basically surrendering the tedious mechanical rendering to the digital scripter and taking on the incredibly powerful role of the algorithmic orchestrator. You provide the rhetorical strategy and the intent, the machine just provides the sweat. But how do you actually command this thing, right? Well, you are the sovereign pilot, standing squarely on what we call the semiotic bridge. On one side, you have your messy, brilliant, associative human imagination, and on the other side sits the rigid, cold, arithmetic logic unit of the computer processor. You bridge that massive gap using the strict, deterministic interface of text. Text is essentially the divine script that translates your intent into physical, automated execution right there in the silicon. But make no mistake, taking the wheel requires some serious effort. The historical legal concept of the sweat of the brow is making a massive comeback here.
True authorship now demands what is called proto-torsion. That's your rigorous, active human steering to reject the random algorithmic distortion of the machine. The U.S. Copyright Office explicitly requires this active intervention. Because AI is just a tool, right? You are the one holding the rhetorical control, and that also means you bear the legal liability, the agentic tort, if the system goes off course. You have to actively keep the machine in check.
Section 4. The curator as the true artist. This brings us to what I think is the ultimate empowerment of our modern digital age. In a world completely flooded with infinite machine-generated media, your specific human intent, your taste, and your choices are the only things that actually matter anymore. The era of the pure originator is ending, and the era of the curator has absolutely begun. Think about it. Decades ago, Andy Warhol perfectly predicted our current reality. Like the Copyright Society notes, in this completely saturated landscape, true art is no longer just about generating content. I mean, anyone can press a button and generate 1,000 images. The true artist today is the curator, the one who sifts through the sea of media, recognizes meaning, and knows exactly which image to choose. It's all about rigorous curation and the profound choice of the human orchestrator.
So as you embrace your vital role in this agentic era, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. The machines are quite literally just sitting there waiting for your instruction. They're blind digital scripters. The immense creative power of an entire data-driven world is now waiting right at your fingertips. You are the sovereign pilot. So what magnificent, beautifully messy human intent will you orchestrate today? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep creating.